Creating an online store website is the best way to generate extra income from your bricks and mortar shop or even your online business. But creating this can be very, very challenging because there are so many moving parts that need to work in sync to make your online store website using WooCommerce work. So in this video, I want to show you step by step how to create an online store website using WooCommerce and WordPress. So here's what we're going to be designing. I'm going to show you how to create this beautiful homepage and also the products page, because the normal products page that you get with your default WordPress website are very, very boring. I want to show you how to create this page using templates. And not only that, I'll also show you how to add this slide cart, which makes the process of purchasing on your online store website very, very easy. And finally, I'm going to show you step by step how to set up your store so that it's ready to bring in the cash. All the tools that I will be using in today's tutorial will be listed in the video description below. So let me show you how to create your own online store website using WooCommerce. The first thing you're going to need in order for you to have your online store online is web hosting. So the suggestion I'm going to give you today is going to make it very, very easy to set up your online store. And this is by using Elementor, because they've combined the web hosting, domain registration, and also the page builder into one. So you're going to be working with one platform, saving you time and eliminating all confusion. So right now we are on Elementor hosting. So you can see here we have the basic. So the basic is $9.99 per month, but this may seem very expensive. But remember, you are also getting a page builder coming with this $9.99. So this is fantastic. So here, if you want to have more than one website, you can go with 3 websites here, which is the Grow. You can also have 10 websites if you're like a design agency and you want to host your clients' websites. So let's take a look here and see what we have. So you can see here we have 10 gig of storage space and 25K monthly visits. Now, if you're getting started, I would start with the one website. This is sufficient because most chances are when you start, you're not going to have, thousands of visitors coming to your store. This is going to happen gradually. And as this is happening, you are able now to upgrade to more storage and more monthly visits. And you may be thinking, well, the hosting is going to become very expensive. Well, that doesn't really matter, because the more visits you have, that means that if you are really selling, then the $20 a month can be affordable. All right, enough talking. Let's dive in and let me show you how to get started with this. So if you want to go in, for example, with the basic one, just click on Buy Now. Now, by clicking that, this now is going to take us to the page where we can start entering our information. So here you can see it says confirm your plan, and this is the Elementor hosting basic. Over here, you can add your first name, you can have your last name, and so on. Now, I've already gone ahead and entered my email address here. So you can see it's mac@maketa.co.uk. And then over here on the bottom, we have a country, region, and this is where you need to enter your address. But this is optional, by the way. And then over here, you need to enter your postcode. And then if you have a company, you can add your company name. You can see here, this is optional. And I've also entered my VAT ID. Okay, so once you're at this stage now, you can just hit continue. And now we're going to go to the next part, which is the payment. So this is where now, if you have a credit card, you can just choose this option here. But if you want to use PayPal, you can just come over here and select PayPal. And now you can see it's giving us our total, and we also have a discount. The link that I have in the video description below gives you a discount. So you can see here it's minus $60. So when you click here on PayPal, this now is going to take the payment, and you are going to get an email with your login details to Elementor. Okay, so when you log into your dashboard, this is what you're going to see. So this is the website. So I have a website called Elementor Mastery. And if you have more websites, they are going to be all listed over here. Now that I've gone through the whole process of purchasing my hosting, when you log into Elementor hosting, this is the dashboard that you see. So as you can see here, this is my website. Now, if you have more websites, they are going to be listed here, which means you can manage them easily from here. Now over here, we can also take a look at our subscriptions. So in my case, this is the subscription that I have. And if I now come over here to brand and business, now this tab is very important for you to connect your domain name your emails, and so on. So let's say you want to connect your domain name. You can just click here on learn more. So what you do now is you go through the process of registering for your domain name. So you would click here where it says get a domain. Now this is going to take you to a domain registrar called Harvard.com. So take Harvard.com as a website where you can register your domain names, because remember, domain names are rented. Okay, so here is where you need to search for it. So let's say I'm looking for a domain called, okay, so let's just say that's the domain name. I'm going to hit search. So you can see here the domain name is available. So you can actually click on add to cart and then purchase your domain name. Now the beauty of this is it's all connected. So you don't have to worry about how to set it all up. And this is what Elementor has done to really help anyone who wants to get started with a small business website or even an online store. They've just taken away the headache of registering a domain somewhere else and then linking up with the hosting and then trying to find out where your email is. Now let's take a look at the email, because you are going to need email when you work with an online store website. So back in here in Elementor, I'm going to go to business email. And again, if I say compare options, you are going to get several options that will help you get up and running with your email. So the one I use is Google Workspace. And this is like Gmail, but which has your domain name. In fact, let me just show you what this looks like. So if I just drag my tab over here, you notice that this looks like it is Gmail, but if you take a look here at my domain, you can see that it is mac@creativeastro.com, but it's using the Gmail interface, and this costs $6 per month. So it is worth it. I've been using this for many, many years. So now let's start building our online store. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click here on Open WP Dashboard. So this now is going to take us to our WordPress dashboard. Okay, so here we are. So at the moment, we don't have much going on. All right, so before we get started building our online store, what we're going to do is to hover over to Elementor here, because we want to go to settings. So we want to do a few settings before we get up and running. So the most important part is over here to the features. So this is where we need to activate a few cutting edge features. Now these features are very important, and this is the future of web design. So we want to make sure that we're working with the latest and greatest technology from Elementor. So over here, I'm going to activate Flexbox container, grid container, and then editor top bar. In fact, you know what? I want to just activate all these. So I'm going to come all the way to the top and just say activate. And then once you've done that, scroll all the way down here and click on save changes. Excellent. So now that I have all this activated, the next step now is to create our first page. So I'm going to come over here to pages and then click on add new. And we are going to call this page home. Now notice how I'm creating my pages. Next, I just have to click on save. So now we have our home page saved. So you may be wondering, okay, so where is the home page? So I'm going to show you in a moment, but what happens is once you create the page, it opens up the page builder, which is exactly what has happened here. So I'm just going to close out of here because we're not going to start building right away. Let's just wait for a moment. So I'm just going to come to the top here and say publish so that our page, our home page is published. Okay, so let's go back. Or what we could do is we could exit from here. So if we say exit to WordPress, it takes us back to the WordPress dashboard. Now let us add all the plugins that we're going to need to build our stores, because at the moment we just have a basic website. In fact, let me show you what it looks like. I'm going to open this in a new tab so that we can see what it looks like. So this is just a plain website. It has no design on it. But in order for us to add functionality to this, we need to add our plugins. Think of plugins as apps on your smartphone. Okay, so back over here now, let's go to Elementor. So what you need to do is to come over here to plugins and then click on add new. So the first plugin we're going to need is called WooCommerce. It's absolutely free. So here it is. I'm going to click on install now. Okay, so now that it's installed, the next step now is to activate it. So I'm going to click here on activate. So this is going to take me through a guided tour. So I don't want to do that. I'm going to come over here to the top and click on skip guided setup. Okay, so now I need to enter my country. So I'm just going to set up United Kingdom. So here it is. I'm going to select that and then go to my store. So right away, it's asking me to add my products. I'm not going to do that right now. So I'm just going to skip all this. And the next step is to install another plugin called cut pops. So this, I'm sure you've seen this before when you go to an online store and you have a pop-up on the bottom where if you click on it, it shows you what's in your basket and so on. It's really, really nice. So let's go ahead and install that plugin. So I'm going to come over here, click on add new. So it's called cut pops. So let's go ahead and install it. Next, we're going to activate it. So I'm just going to skip for now. And this is the setup. So we are going to revisit this later on. Now let's move on. We also need another plugin, and this one is called TI Wishlist. So this will allow your customers to add products to their wish list. All right, so let's come over here again. Click on plugins, and we are going to add new. So it's called TI Wishlist. Okay, let's go ahead and install. And we're also going to activate it. Okay, so we've installed our plugins. These are the elements that are going to make our website work the way we want. The next step now is to upload our product images. Let's go ahead and do that. So to upload them, of course, you need to have downloaded them on your computer somewhere where you can just upload them easily, or you can use royalty-free images. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go to Media and then click on Add New. So now I'm going to select my files. Now, all my files are in my downloads folder here, so I'm just going to highlight them all. So it's these ones here, drag and drop them like that. And now they're all going to be imported into my media library, which means it's going to make it easier for me to use these images as I'm building my website. All right, so now that we have all our products in our media library, the next step now is to start to add our products onto our store. So to do that, you want to come over here to products and then click on add new. But before I do that, if you click on all products, this is how you're going to see all the products in your shop. All right, so let's go ahead and create a new product by clicking on create product. So straight away, we need to give our product name. So I'm just going to call this product 1. So I'm just going to close out of this. And then here we need to add our product description. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to copy and paste some dummy text here. Now, what's important here is to make sure you do this stage by stage. So here we're going to need to add our regular price. So let's say for my product 1 here, it's going to be $199, but as the sale price is going to be $129. Okay, we're going to take a look in a moment what this is going to look like on the front end of our website. Next, we have this tab called inventory. Now, let's say you have 20 items and you want that when customers come to your website, they can see how many are left as they're purchasing. This is where you need to activate this inventory. So let's say product 1, we can just call it P001, and then we can add our stock quantity by coming over here to track stock quantity. So if you know the exact amount of stock you have, you can just come over here and say maybe we have 19. And then here it says back orders, you can allow or not allow, and low stock threshold, I'm going to leave it at 2. Next, we can also add our shipping requirements over here. I'll show you how to set that up later on. We're going to leave linked products. We don't need that. So pretty much this is what you need. The next step now is to add your short description. So I'm just going to add a single paragraph here as my short description. Now, over here to the right, we have our product image. So I'm going to click here on set product image. And this is where we now can go to our media library where we downloaded all our products. And now I can go in and start choosing my products. So I'm going to start here with my first product. It's going to be the headphones. I'm going to say set product image. Okay, so now my product has been set. Next, I am also going to create a category for my product. So I am going to now scroll down and click where it says add new category. And I'm going to call this headphones. Add new category. And now my category has been added. So all I have to do now is to click on publish. Now, let's take a look and see what this looks like. So I'm going to click here on View Product. So there we go. We have our headphones here. We can see it's on sale. And we also have our sale price here. We have our description and reviews will be shown here. So pretty cool. Very, very easy to set up. Now, let's go ahead and add even more products. So what I'm going to do now at any point, if you want to view your products, just click on All Products here. And now they're all going to be listed here. And this is also where you can add your categories. So remember, we added our headphones category. We can come over here to categories and start adding them here as well. So let's say this category here is called shoes. I can just add it like that. And then my slug here can be shoes as well. And pretty much that's all I need to do. I'm going to add new category and it's going to be added over here to the right. So now you can see we have shoes and headphones. So this is what you need to do if you need to add extra categories. Now let me just add one more while I'm here. And I'm going to call this latest and then add new category. Excellent. Now let's continue on and add all our products. So to make things faster, I'm going to come over here to all products. I'm just going to hover over here and say duplicate. So now I can go in and give this product a name. So I'm going to call this lorem ipsum, like that. Now remember, when you enter the name, you also need to come over here to the permalink and update it like that, so that all your visitors are redirected to the correct item. So now that we've done this, the next step is to change the price. So maybe this time here it's 99 and it is not on sale. And then on the inventory here, I'm going to say no to that. And for the products, let's just give it a reference of PR002. And then over here on the product image, I'm just going to click on it. And let's add a different one. So I'm going to add this one here. Set product image. Now on the categories, it's headphones. And I'm also going to set it to latest. So that's pretty much what I need to do here. I'm going to hit publish. So far we have 2 products. So continue adding all your products until you have all the products that you need on your shop. All right, so I've added all my products. The next step now is to start to build the core of our website, which is the pages. So let's go ahead and create our main home page, the landing page. This is the page that a lot of customers are going to see when they land on our website. All right, so we're going to come over here now to pages and then click on all pages. Now remember, we created a page called home. This is what we're going to build on, and we're also going to add more pages after that. Now by default, these pages here were added by WooCommerce, so we are also going to create a menu for them. All right, so let's start here with our homepage. So I'm going to say edit with Elementor. I'm going to open this in a new tab so that it makes it easier for me to work on my site. So here is my tab. It's loading up. So the first thing we're going to do here is to click here on this plus button. So we're going to choose Flexbox, and then we're going to choose this structure here. So what we're going to do next is to come over here into our container. Click on style, and we need to add an image in the background. So let's go ahead and click here on classic, and then we're going to click here on this plus button to choose our image. And this is going to be our background image. I'm going to click on select. Next, I'm also going to make sure that this fits. So I'm going to come over here to layout, minimum height. I'm going to set this to 100 VH. Like that. Now you can see it's showing pretty much the full picture. Next, I'm going to come back over here to style and let me work on my image here. So it says full, so that's fine. On the position here, you just want to make sure that if things are not centered correctly, you can play around with these to make sure that your image is showing the way you want. So let's say, for example, I choose center, you can see more of the head is cut off, or if I say center left. So these are all the adjustments. So I'm going to leave mine at default. Okay. Next, over here on repeat, I don't want this to repeat. So I'm going to say no repeat. And then for the size, I'm just going to say cover. So I want the image to pretty much cover my space. All right. So that's looking great. Now I can go in and add my text or anything that I may need to add here to entice my visitors to my website. So I'm going to come all the way to the top here and click on this plus button to add my element. So I'm going to search for text and select. And you can see now my heading text has been added all the way here to the top. So let's pretend that this is going to be our text for our shop. But as you can see here, things are not looking right because the color here is not working great with this background. So I want to show you a technique that you can use to make this look really awesome. So first of all, let's center it. And we're also going to increase the size by coming over here to style. And we're going to go into the color here. So I want this to be white, like that. You can see it's slightly better, but we're still not there yet. Okay, next over here on typography, we're going to set this to Poppins. So I'm going to search for it and select it. Now over here, we're going to make it light. And then we also need to set our letter spacing. Okay, so let's go with about 6.4. And transform, let's make it all uppercase. Okay, so that's looking great. So pretty much that's all I need to do for the name of the shop here. So I'm going to close. Now, let's head over back to our main container here because things are not looking right because I want my text here to be centered. So what I'm going to do is to come back to the layout, and I'm now going to change the justify. So now you can see justify content is set now to center, and things are looking much, much better now. Okay. Now, while we're here, we might as well work on the image here because it's too bright. So we need to dim it a little bit so that it is easier to work with. So I'm going to come to background overlay, click on this paintbrush icon. And first of all, I'm going to choose my color. We're going to go with black like that. So make sure it's set to 00000 here. And then I can adjust how bright I want it to be. But in this case, we want to make it a bit dark so that our text is easier to read, but at the same time also maintaining the information here on the image. Okay, so that's looking great. Our name now is easily visible. So the next step now is to continue on and add more elements. So I'm going to click here on this plus button. This time I need text. I'm going to add it below there. And over here on the style, we are going to center it and change the color here to white. Like that. And we also need to increase the size a little bit. So let's set this to 16 pixels like that, or maybe even 18. How about that? Okay, great. And our font here needs to be Poppins. Let's set it up like that. And that's looking great. Finally, I need to add my call to action button. So I'm going to click here on this plus button again and look for my button element, drag and drop it. We're going to center it. And then over here on click here, I'm going to say start shopping. So we are going to add our link later on. Next, let's style this by coming over here to this middle tab. So the color of the button, let's change that. Maybe to like an orange color. Next, we're going to come over here to border radius. I'm going to set this to 0. For our text color, this needs to be dark and easy to read. So I'm going to set this to a very dark gray. Looks like our background color here changed. I really want this orange here like that. Okay, great. Next, I'm also going to change my font here from Roboto to Poppins. So far, our main hero area here is looking great. I'm also going to make this all caps. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to come over here to transform, uppercase. And the size of the button here, I'm not happy with that. So let's make it bigger. So we're going to come over here to size and set this to large. That's much better. Okay. I'm not sure why the color here keeps changing. So let's go back and fix that. So back over here. Let's set my color. Hopefully this won't change now. All right. So now that I have this, I'm going to say publish. And if you want to take a quick preview and see what things are looking like, you can just click here, and this now is going to show you so far what our website looks like, and it's looking not too bad. All right, so let's continue on and add more information on our website. So what we need here is a design just below our hero area. So I'm going to click here on this plus button, and we are going to choose Flexbox. Next, we're going to choose our structure, but for this design, I am going to go with 2 equal columns. All right, so now that we have this, the next step now is to add 2 columns in here because we want to make a design where we have an image on the side and some text on the right. All right, so to do that, we're going to click here on this plus button, and I'm going to drag this container like that. That's the first one. And then I'm just going to right click and duplicate it. So now we have these 2 inside this main container, just like that. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to now go into this big main one, this main container, and we are going to change the direction. So I'm going to come over here, and now they're also side by side inside. So we have a big container that has 2 containers side by side. All right, so now that we have this, on the right here, I want to add an image. I'm going to click here on this plus button, and I'm just going to drag and drop my image module in here, or rather element. In here, we're going to add some text. So I'm going to click here on this plus button, drag and drop my text, just like that. Okay, so now that I have these two elements, I'm just going to go in here and choose my image. So I'm going to click in here, click over here, and in my library here, I'm going to go with this image, select it. All right, so that's great. I have my image now. So what I'm going to do in the background, or in the back, in the main background of this container, is to add a solid color. So the way I'm going to do it is by coming over here to style, and then I'm going to come to background, and I'm going to choose color. So I'm going to click over here. Now you notice that we have this eyedropper tool. This is a color sampler. I'm going to use this. I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to sample a color from these headphones, just like that. And then I can cycle through these and choose which one works best. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with either this one here or this one. I don't know. Which one do you think is better? Anyway, let's go with this one here. So now I have my background color. Next, I am now going to work on my text here. So let's go ahead and start working on that. So I'm going to click here, and then I'm just going to say, just arrived. Now let's style it. So I'm going to click here on style, and first things first, I'm going to change the color so that it really stands out from the background. Okay, so we've turned that into white, and then our font here needs to be Poppins. I'm going to select that, and for our weight, I'm going to make sure it is bold, and let's make it all uppercase. Now let's increase the size. So this time I'm going to use EMs. So let's start with 4, and let's just try and increase it now. Okay, there we go, just arrived. All right, so that's looking okay. The next step now is to add some more text that describes that. So I'm going to drag and drop it in here. And then these are Beats Studios. Okay. So I'm just going to say Beat Studios 20% off. Okay, so with that, again, it needs to be styled. So I'm going to come over here to the Style tab and change the color to white. We're going to change our font to Poppins. So we're just going to do what we did before. I'm going to search for it here, like that, and increase the size a little bit. So let's go with 1.2. In fact, we need to change to EM. So I'm going to say 1.2 EM. Okay, so there we go. Just arrived 20% off. So what I may want to do as well is to maybe add some rounded corners to this. So in fact, you know what? Let's leave it like that. Next, I'm going to come over here to my container. And what I'm going to do with the container here is to add a bit of padding. So I'm going to come over here to advanced and then change this to percentage, break the chain, and I'm going to set my top padding to 6% and the bottom padding to 6%. All right, so now my design has a bit of breathing space. In fact, I may even need to increase that to maybe even 8%. Okay, so we need loads of breathing space. All right, so let me just take a look at the complete design. So you can see here, this is starting to take shape. Okay, it's looking great. Now over here on the right, I would like to add a testimonial because that's just going to make the site more active, and with testimonials from other customers, this is going to make it really, really cool. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to come back over here into editing mode, and like what we did before, let's add an element in here. So first of all, let's search for testimonial, and here it is. I'm going to click on that. In fact, you know what? I shouldn't have clicked on that. I need to actually drag and drop it. So again, let's search for it. Testimonial. Here it is. Drag and drop it, just like that. All right. So now that we have these two, what we're going to do now is to stylize this. So I'm going to go in fact, you know what? Let's add a background color first. So I'm going to come in here and go to style, and then we're going to go into our background here, and let's add a really dark gray because we want this to stand out, you know? So I think right about there, it's fine. Okay, great. So the next step now is to just make sure that here on layout, everything is centered just like that. That's how I want it. And while we're here, I'm also going to add a bit of padding inside there. So I'm going to give this, let's go with percentage. And let's start off with maybe about 6%, because what happens is if you start with a very high number, it just messes up the whole design. So let's start with 6%. Okay, so now that I have a bit of breathing space in here, I mean, this design here looks cool like how it is now, but if we want a bit of space between these two columns here, this message and the testimonial, just come back over here into this container here, and then you want to come down to, in fact, you want to go to layout, and you want to increase the space between the elements, okay? And this is where the space is. So let's start 20 pixels, and I think that look, maybe increase it to maybe 30. Now always keep checking over here in the main preview to see how, you know, if it looks well, okay? So now I think that looks great. Let's bring it back. Let's now continue on and start working on this. So click on this pencil icon, and now we need to come over here to choose image. So this is where we need to upload some images. So I'm going to go and click on select. Now I have some images again on my computer. So in fact, I want to drag and drop them. I think it's easier that way. So I'm just going to find them on my computer here. So I'm just going to highlight the images, and then I'm just going to drag and drop them like that. I'm going to close out of here. All right, so the image we're going to go with is this first one here. I'm going to click on select, and now my image has been added. Now let's work on the styling of this. In fact, let's change the name here. So this could be, how about that? Image size, it says full here. I'm going to leave it at that. Title, I'm going to leave that as well. And what else can I change here? I think this is fine. Image position, let's see. Yeah, I think that looks much better. So let's have the image position here set to top. Now let's go and stylize this. I'm going to come over here to style. Our text color is going to change to white or just a slight gray like that. Next, we're going to come over here to typography. Let's change this to Poppins like that. Now we need to go to the image. So the way it looks now, it looks very small. I think it looks better if we just make it slightly bigger, but you can see it's affecting my design here, which is a bit annoying. So what I'm going to do now is to come over here into this container, and I'm going to center things. Let me see if I can, okay, there we go. So I can much better now, which means if I come back, I can make my image here slightly bigger without jeopardizing on my design, which is fantastic. All right, so like I said, I just need to make some adjustments to my typography here. So let's go back and let's set this to 1.3 EM. How about that? In fact, that's a bit too much. Let's bring it down a little bit. It's just a testimonial, you know? There we go. Okay, so I think I'm happy with that. Now the name also needs to be changed. So let's change the color. So this is going to be a bit dark. There we go. And while we're here, we're going to change the typography as well. And we're going to change this to Poppins. There we go. I'm going to set it to that. And then finally, we have the title there, which is set to designer. So again, let's change it here. Okay, so I think this is looking great so far. Let's go ahead and publish this by clicking on the publish button. Now, before we continue on to the next section, do you realize how I'm going in, changing the font and all of that? That's quite annoying. So I want to set this once and for all. I'm going to come over here to site settings. So this is where you can go in and set all the fonts and so on. So let's go to global fonts. So we're going to start with the primary here. We're going to set this to Poppins. So this is just so that we don't have to keep going in and changing it every single time. It's very, very annoying. Okay, so let's set this again. There we go, Poppins. I'm not going to bother with the size for now because that's just going to depend on the item that I'm working on. So I'm just going to leave the size as it is. In fact, for the typography here, let's just set this to 1.1 EM, like that. The accent as well, let's set this to Poppins. Now, the really cool thing about this is I can also see over here on this side what I'm changing. So it just makes it visually easier for me to work with these updates. Okay, so I have all my fonts here. If I wanted to change my colors, this is where I would change my colors. So far so good. I'm gonna go ahead and save this. Now I've noticed that every time I hit save, this card here pops out. So you just have to bear with me on that one. Right, okay, so let's close out of here. Right, so let's start working on our next section. So I'm gonna click here on this plus button to add our new container. Again, it's going to be Flexbox, and it is going to have the column direction, which is facing down. Okay, great. So as we did before, let's give this a bit of padding. So I'm gonna click here on this actual container. So first of all, let's give this a color. I'm gonna give this a very slight gray so that I distinguish that from the top section, okay? Now I am going to go into advanced. Let's go into our padding here. Change this to percentage. So the padding that we need is just for the top and the bottom. So let's set this to 6% and the bottom of 6%. All right, great. So now that we have this, we can now add all our elements. So I want a text here. So I'm going to click on this plus button and drag my text module here. And in here, I'm just going to say latest products like that and change the color. Come over here to style. And we just want a gray, because you're going to notice that I'm going to be playing around with a lot of grays and light grays as I'm designing this. Okay, so now I'm going to click on this plus button. Let me see what WooCommerce modules we have here. So I have this products module. Let's drag and drop it here, just below where it says latest products. And you can see now that these now are being added to my layout, and that's pretty cool. So that's the quickest way to add these onto our page. But there's also another way, which is a bit more advanced, where I can use the loop builder to add my products onto my page like this. So I'm not going to make things very complicated. We're just going to work with what we have here. So we have 4 columns here. I think that's fine. And what I'm going to do now is to just stylize this a little bit. I'm going to come over here to style. So first of all, the title color here, I'm not a fan of that. So let's go ahead and change it. So we're going to go with black like that. Okay, so we're going to scroll down here. We also have the price color. Let's go ahead and change that. So if you want to use a global color, you can just click on this little globe icon and then choose your global color. So you can go with something like that for your colors if you want. Typography, I'm going to leave it as that. And now we have this button that we need to really design. Okay, so for our text color, let's come over here and set our text color to white. And then our background color, let's set this to black, because we really want this to stand out. So we can either use black or any other color. For our border color here, I'm going to leave it as that. And then for the typography, I think the typography is fine. Now let's continue on and add the hover state. So for the background color here, I'm going to go in and add a slight hover. Do you see that? Yeah, I think that's enough. Okay, great. Now for the border, I'm going to say none, because we don't need any borders to that. And then for the border radius, I'm going to set this to 0. Yes, so I really like that. And pretty much I think I'm cool with that. Now let's take a look and see what else we can do. Now, as I'm looking at this, I'm just thinking to myself, should I have it centered or it's fine the way it is? Anyway, let's continue on and then we'll see how things go. All right, so what we're going to do next is come over here to the box here. So in the box, we can add a color in here, just like that, just so that the products really stands out. I really like that. And then maybe add a bit of padding in here. So let's go with 2%. In fact, let's come over here, set this to percent, set it to 2. Let's see how that looks. And then we can just increase it ever so slightly like that. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with 6. And as I'm looking at this, I think this needs to be centered. Okay, so We're not going to bother with the border radius here or the border color. In fact, you know what? We might even add a border color here just so that, okay, so this is not showing. Okay, let's leave the border color for now. Right, so what I'm going to do is to go to the products because I really want to center this because right now, there we go. So that's looking much, much better. You can see everything is all centered. It's right in the middle. So these are our latest products. I really like that. So let me take a quick look here. There we go. So these are our latest products. So the page is really coming along the way I really like. Okay, that's great. So what we're going to do now, as you can see, I think you can see that the header here is non-existent. We really want to work on the header here and also the footer. So what we're going to do is to publish what we've designed so far. So to work on our header, we need to go into an area called the theme builder. Let me show you how to create that. So over here, I'm going to click on the logo and we are going to open the theme builder here in a new tab. So you can see here, these are all our templates. So the first one I'm going to work with is the header. So I'm going to click here on this plus button. So there are some templates I can work with here, but you know what? I'm not going to bother with any templates. I'm going to close out of here and create one from scratch. So I'm going to click here on Flexbox and we are going to go with this column structure here. So the elements we're going to need in here are very, very straightforward. I'm going to click here on this plus button. The first one here is going to be the logo. So I'm going to drag and drop it like that. The next one is going to be my menu. So I'm going to click on this plus button and search for my menu. So here's my WordPress menu. I'm going to drag and drop it just like that. And now I can go in to my column structure and change this to horizontal. So now I have my logo and my menu over here on the right. So what I can also do here is to click on this little icon and then I am going to make sure this is set to horizontal, which is great. All right. So what I'm going to do next is to reduce the size of my logo here. So I'm going to come over here, go to style, and I can now play around with my width, set it to about 28%. And I want this aligned to the left. So let's see how we can do that. There we go. So now it's aligned to the left, which is great. All right. So now back in my column here, in my container, sorry, I'm now going to space these evenly like that so that these are side by side. So at the moment, you can see now nothing is showing here. That's because we haven't created our menu yet. And that stage is also very, very important. So now I'm going to hit publish. And for my condition here, I'm going to say add condition. And I want this to be included in the entire website. Next, I'm going to click on save and close. Fantastic. So now I have a basic header all set up right here. Of course, we can't see it because I haven't created it yet. Next, I am now going to go to my website. So let's go to one of my pages here. So this is what we had before, and this is going to change very soon. But anyway, why don't we come back over here to my pages? And this time I want to go to my appearance, click on menus. So this is where we're going to create our menu. So to create a brand new menu, let's first of all call it main menu, like that. And this needs to be applied to the header. And now we're going to say create menu. Next, we need to add our pages to the menu. So I'm going to say, first of all, view all. So the main pages here are going to be my home and shop. But of course, I am going to create the contact as well. So I've got these. And now I'm going to say add to menu. So let's save this menu for now. The next step now is to come over here to site settings. I'm going to go to general. So this is where I can set my site title. So I'm just going to say Mac Shop, and I'm just going to say Elementor hosted website, and that's pretty cool. Next, I'm going to come over here to reading, and I'm going to set my home, my static page as my home page, and my post page. I may create a blog as we continue, so I'm just going to leave this as it is. So now let's hit save changes. So what I may want to do as well is to come over here to pages, and let's click on all pages. So what I want to do now is to get rid of the sample page because I don't need this. So let's trash it. Okay. Now let's create a contact page like that. And I'm also going to create a blog page. Oops. So the next page I need to add is the blog page. So now I'm going to say blog and click on Slave. But in your case, if you don't need a blog on your online store website, you don't have to have one. It's pretty cool. So let's just publish this and exit out of here. So now that we've added our 2 pages, why don't we come back again to Appearance, click on Menus, and add those 2 pages that I've just added, which is the blog and contact, onto our menu. So there we go. So we have our home, shop, blog, contact. So pretty much we have the pages that we need. Now let's click on Save Menu. If we take a look at our site now, you're going to notice that. So with our menu set, let's continue on and work on our header. So over here, I'm going to click on this little pencil icon to go into my menu options. So you can see now at the top here, we have our pages now showing. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to adjust the sizes here. So I'm just going to drag this over like that. And then I'm going to go into my container here and just make sure that everything is fitting okay. So at the moment we have a content width of boxed. So we want this to be full width and 100%. Okay, great. Now while we're here, we also want to make sure that this is spaced out. So let's continue on and stylize this. So I'm going to come over here. And this is where we can come in and change, the fonts and so on. So I'm going to go into style. So I'm not a fan of that color. So I'm going to go in and maybe go with that. And then we can also state our hover color. So I'm going to leave the hover like that. And then the active color, let's go in. In fact, we can go and choose the text color here like that. So that's going to be our active color. So back on the main container, I'm going to go to style. Click on border. In fact, I need to come over here to advanced and then just make sure that everything is self-aligned and everything's aligned center, and pretty much I am good to go. So, okay, we're going to hit publish. So now when we take a look at our website, then we shouldn't see the menu that we had before. All right, so now we have our logo and we have our links here on the top. But you notice one thing. We have this name here which says home. We don't like that, so I'm going to show you how to get rid of it. So far, this is what our page looks like, and it is pretty cool. The only thing that I've noticed is the pricing here is not looking good. It's very light on this light background, so we may need to go in and change the color of the text itself. Apart from that, I think we are getting somewhere. If I click on this product, it's going to now take us to our product page. So at the moment, this is what the product page looks like. We really want to stylize this and make it look even better. So this is what I'm going to do next. Okay, so I'm going to leave this open so we can reference it. So let's head over now to our menus. And I'm going to use this now to stylize my site. So I'm going to say visit site and edit with Elementor, because this home page title here is really annoying me. So let me just show you quickly how you can get rid of it. So to get rid of it, you want to come over here to post settings, and you see this option here which says hide title. Just click on that, and now the title is gone. That's all you need to do, and pretty much we are good to go. Right, so let's publish that, and it's time now to work on our product template. We really want our product template to look really, really nice. Okay, so let's start working on that by coming over here to Theme Builder. So we're going to click here on this plus button, and we're going to go with single product right here. Now we have some templates here we can work with, but you know what? We're not going to spend time with the templates. I want to show you how to do this from scratch. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to click here on this plus button. We're going to go with Flexbox, and we are going to go with 2 equal columns like that. So on this first one here, we need to add an image. So I'm going to click here on this plus button and search for my product image. Here it is on the bottom, drag and drop it. And then over here on the right, we're going to start adding all our elements. So we're going to start with our product title, drag and drop it. Next, we are going to add our product description. So we're going to click here on this plus button. So here's the short description, drag and drop it just below. So let's continue on. I'm going to click on this plus button. We're also going to need a product stock. Let's drag and drop it. Okay, and we also need the add to cart button. There we go. What else do we need? Let's have a look here. I think rating is also very important, so let's drag and drop it here as well, just above or below the add to cart. Finally, we're going to need our product price, so I'm going to drag and drop it right above the add to cart, just like that. Now that we have all our content here, it's time now to stylize this and make it look really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here first of all on the container, and then I'm going to come over here and add a color to that container. So let's go with color, and let's see what it looks like when we add a very light gray. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with that. And then in here, in the product itself, we're also going to add a color. So let's come over here to style. We're going to go to background type and add our color. Next, while we're here, we also need a space between our products here or between our columns. So I want to come to layout and let's add the space between to 20. Okay, so that's much better now. So all I have to do now is to also come to the advanced tab and let's add a percentage here, and we're going to set it to, in fact, let's break the chain. So the top is going to be 6% and the bottom as well is going to be 6%. Okay, so now we have some breathing space on our product here, and I think that's looking much better. In fact, you know what, this may be a bit too much. Let's go ahead and change that by coming back to style, and let's make it a bit lighter, just ever so slight. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and change the colors of my title here. So let's go into style, change this into a really dark gray, like that. Now my font here, I'm not sure why that hasn't changed to Poppins. Let's go ahead and do it manually. So we're going to search for Poppins, select it. Okay, and the price. Let's change the color of the price. Okay, and then the button here, we can also work with that and change the border radius, set this to 0. So the background color, we're going to use black. Text color is going to be white, which is fine. And the font, that doesn't look like it is Poppins for some reason. But anyway, I guess that works. Okay, so we are getting somewhere. Now let's add another container here. And this time, this container is going to have additional information. So I'm going to click here on this plus button, search for, oh, there it is, additional information. Drag and drop it in here. And then back over here, we can also add our product data types. Drag and drop it. So now we have our description and so on. But what I would like to do now is to just go in and make sure my font is consistent, because that doesn't look like it is Poppins. So let's go over here, set this to Poppins like that. Now let's go to the panel. We're going to do the same, search for Poppins. And finally, we're going to go on the typography and do the same as well. There we go. All right, so everything now is consistent, and that's looking much better. So we have additional information, but you know what? The additional information, we might even need to add it over here on the top. So what I'm going to do is to add a divider, or yes, there we go. Drag and drop it here like that. And then we are going to grab our additional information and just add it just below here like that. But I can see the size is a bit too much. Let's change this to 16 pixels and make sure the font family here is set to Poppins. There we go. All right, so that's looking much better. Now let's come to the bottom here, and we need to add a bit of padding. So we're going to come over here to advanced, change this to percentage, and we're going to set this to 6 to the top and 6 to the bottom, just like that. So now we have our content here and it's looking great. All right, so with this now, I also would like to add a style to the top here because it's looking very bland. So we're going to click here on this plus button and let's add our column structure. It's going to be based on Flexbox, just like that. Okay, so with that now, I'm just going to drag it to the top like that. Let's start working on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is to add a background image to my main container here. So I'm going to come over here to style and I want to say background type and click on this little icon. Now, instead of adding my image normally, like how I would normally do, I'm going to click here on dynamic tags. So this is very important. So we can go with product image like that. So that's the image that's going to be shown over here. So the position, I'm going to say center, like that. Now, I don't want this to repeat, so I'm going to make sure that it's set to no repeat. So now it's just a shoe right there in the middle. So what I'm going to do next is to come back over here to layout, and I'm going to set my minimum height, but this time in VH, and let's start with 50 and see what that looks like. Okay, so that's 50, but let's try 40. Okay, I think 40 works. Yeah, let's go with 40. So what I'm going to do next is to come over here to style, and we're going to go to background overlay, click on classic, add our color, which is going to be this dark, in fact, this black. And then we're going to take this to about 0.8. Now, of course, you can play around with the opacity here. It's going to depend on your type of products or your website. So in here now, I want to go in and add a product heading or a product title. There we go. Drag and drop it. So I can see that it's all the way at the top. That's not what I want. So I'm going to come back over here to layout and click here on the layout tab and make sure it's centered like that. So all I have to do now is to go into this text, click on that, come over here to style, typography, and set my size. So I'm going to go with 2 EM. I think that works. And change the color like that. Okay, so that's my product name. And we have a hint of the product in the background as well. So I think this is a much better looking product page than what we had before. Now, we may also want to add some breadcrumbs or some other items in here. Let's see what we can add. Let's see if we can add some share buttons and see what that looks like. Drag and drop it in here. Now, that doesn't look great. You know what? Let's keep things very, very simple here. May want to add some breadcrumbs. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. Drag and drop it. Yeah, I think that works. Let's add some breadcrumbs in here. So I'm going to go to text color. I'm going to change the color like that. And we're also going to go to typography here, change this to Poppins and select it. The weight is fine. I think maybe even light is better. Yeah, I think light is fine. We're going to set it to light and let's publish this. Okay, now it's asking where do you want to display your template? I'm going to say add condition and on all products. How about that? Save and close. Okay, so let's view live site. So this is the template, by the way, because you may be wondering why can't we see the images in here? This is the template, so that's why it's showing that way. But if we now go to a product on our site, this is going to look different. So let's do that. So we're going to choose maybe this one here because it's different. Okay, so I think I forgot to remove the repeat here. So it's a very, very easy fix, but look at that. Now we have a brand new template. So let's fix that by going back. So in here, we're going to go to style and make sure this is set to no repeat. We're going to set this to, now this is where you need to play around with this to make sure that you have it on the setting you want. So there's auto and there's also cover, contain, and custom. So let's see what custom looks like. Oh, so this is where you can adjust this to whatever size you want. So let's say we are going to go with 42. How about that? Now let's publish this. Okay, so now it's looking right. You can see the shoes are showing now in the top there. My text here is fine, and pretty much everything else is looking okay. So the beauty of this template is at any point, if you want to add new products, your products are going to be consistent and they're going to have this same layout. So it's pretty cool. All right, so let's move on and let's now start working on the footer. Okay, so we're going to go back into our site here. Okay, so to work on our footer, what we need to do is to come over here to the top, click on the logo, and then go to Theme Builder. We're going to click over here on this plus button to add new, and we are now going to look for footer, and here it is. I'm going to select that. So this time I want to show you how easy it is to use a footer that we already have in our template library. So this time we're going to go with a dark one. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on insert, click on apply, and here is our footer. So all we have to do now is to go in and stylize this. So I'm going to click here and we're going to go to style, change my typography here to Poppins. In fact, it's already Poppins, but there might be a bit of letter spacing, and sure enough, there is. So I want to set this to 0 because I don't need any letter spacing. I'm going to set this to 1 EM. There we go. So what I could actually do is to copy and paste the style across. Let me see if I'm able to do that. Okay, it looks like I can't do it, but I can do it on my paragraph text. There we go. Okay, that's working. Now, I don't need this email opt-in, so I want to get rid of it by right-clicking and then clicking on delete. And let's get rid of this as well. We don't need that. Okay, so what we may want to add here are social media follow icons. So I'm going to search on the top here for social follow. And here it is. Drag and drop them here like that. So we may need to add some more, so we can just duplicate this a few times and then go in here and change YouTube to something else. Now over here on the style, we can set our size, so you can really play around with the sizes here like that. And we also have the color, so we can go with custom, or we can just leave it at official color. So these are the official colors. And we can also add the hover state, but by default, there is also a hover state. So finally, I just want to go in here and just make sure that my font is the right font. But of course, remember, in here is where you want to add your address, okay? And then finally, the opening hours, come over here to style, text, and we're just going to set this to 1 EM, just like the rest, and then make sure there's no letter spacing. And for this logo here, this is not the proper logo, so I'm going to right click. In fact, I'm going to go in, and right now we don't have a logo, so let's close out of here. And what we're going to do is just to set this to site logo like that. So this now is dynamic. So whatever logo we have on our site is going to appear here. All right, so now we can go ahead and publish this, add condition, and this needs to go on the entire website, save and close. So now if we view live site, you're going to notice that we now have a footer on our website. But you know what? This footer doesn't look right. So what I'm going to do is let's click home and let's have a look at this. Right, do you notice that we have a lot of space here on the top and none on the bottom? I don't like that. So that's what I'm going to change quickly. So back in our footer here, I'm going to go into my settings, go to advanced, and I can see here what they've done. They've added the margin here at the top. So let's set this to 0 and 0 at the bottom like that. And then I just need to go into my padding top and set this to 6 and 6 to the bottom. Right. In fact, you know what? I may need to increase this to 8. There we go. So I think that looks much, much better. I'm going to hit publish. So here is our logo now. All right, so far we have our header, we have our page here all designed, and the layout looks really, really cool. And finally, we've just worked on the footer. So the next page we need to work on is the shop page. So now when we click on shop, I want you to notice what happens. We have this default layout here, which doesn't look very, very cool. So what we want to do is to redesign this and make it look much better. So we're going to come over here to edit with Elementor and then go into theme builder. Next, we are going to go for single page. Click on this plus button. We're going to close out of here for now. And this now is going to be our shop page. So let's start here with our layout. And we're going to go with the single structure here as we normally do. So what we're going to do now is to add some sort of image here, like an entry-level image, so that when people land on the shop page, they're greeted with something that looks really, really nice. Okay, so what we're going to do straight away is we're going to go into the background and we are going to choose a product. So I'm going to come over here to style, go to background, and we are going to choose an image. And the image we're going to go with is perhaps this one here. Okay, so straight away we want to make sure that it's set to no repeat. And now let's adjust the size of our image here. So first of all, we want to set it to center, and then display size, we're going to set it to cover. And now let's increase the size of our container by coming over here. So we're going to come to layout, and we are going to set our minimum here to VH and set it to 50. Right, so that's a bit too big. So we may want to go in and custom make it a custom size here. So let's go back to display, custom, and we're going to reduce this a little bit, just like that. So maybe go with 50. How about that? Okay, so that's looking great. The next step is to add my background overlay. So for this, I'm going to make sure that it's set to black. So I'm going to come over here. There we go. And I'm also going to, I think that transparency there works. All right, I think that works. Or what we could do is we'll come over here to background. In fact, you know what? Let's leave it as it is. So what I'm going to add now is the title to this. So let's go with text. Where's my text module? Here it is. Drag and drop it. And let's go and rename this to Mac Shop. But of course, in your case, you name it whatever you want. All right, so with that, let's stylize this. Let's first of all center it. We're going to come over here, change the color to white so that it really stands out. And then on the typography here, we're going to make sure it's set to, let's try 2EM. Okay. And let's go to letter spacing. Okay, we're going to go with 10. I'm just going to reduce this to maybe 2.2. All right, and then finally, I just want this centered. So I'm going to come over here and make sure it is centered. All right, great. So that's going to be the introduction to my main hero area, but of course we can add whatever image that we want over here. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to click on this plus button here. Enter my column structure, and we're going to come over here and set this to 8%. Okay, so we're going to break the chain, set this to percentage, set this to 8 to the top, 8 to the bottom. Right, so what we need to add in here are our containers. So we're going to click here on this plus button. So let's add our containers. We're going to add 2 containers, drag and drop it. We're going to duplicate this one here like that. Okay, great. So in the top one here, we're going to add our sidebar widget. Okay, so we're going to click here on this plus button. Well, at the moment, I can't add it because I have to add the widget first. So we're going to wait on that. But for now, we can add our products. So let's go to our products here, drag and drop it. So this, by default, is showing all the products. So let's see what it looks like if I show 3. Okay, and then for the query here, let's add all the products. So I'm going to go to manual selection. In fact, you know what? Let's just set this to 4 so that all our columns are all looking great. Okay. So now that I have this, I'm just going to come back over here to advanced just to make sure that everything is fine. Okay, that's great. So I'm going to go ahead now and save this and publish this. So now it's saying, where do you want to display this template? So I'm going to say pages, or I can say single page. Do we have that option for single page? Okay, anyway, that's page. And then over here, I'm going to search for my shop page. And here it is. I'm going to select it and then click on save and close. Okay, great. Now, one feature that is also very important here is to also have the search for products widget. So I'm going to search for my search. And let's see where I can find it. Search. Okay, this is search form, but we need our product search. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this for now and look for the right widget. So this is not the one we want. The search we need is the search for the product. So to add it, we're going to click here on this plus button. We're going to scroll all the way down to WordPress. And then this is where we're going to get it. So here we have product search. Do you see that? But what we need to do here is we want to add another container in here so that we can align all our widgets in one column. So let's go back and drag and drop our container in here. And we're going to duplicate it one more time. Now, as you can see, we have one big container and 2 small ones inside. So what we're going to do straight away is we're going to come over here. And we are going to change our direction for our layout to horizontal, like that. Okay, so now we have our products over there on the left, and we have this on the right. So we are also going to change our layout here to full width. So not quite 100%, but maybe about 80 or maybe even 84, so that we have a bit more space. And then over here, we're just going to adjust that, because we don't need too much space over here. Okay, now we can go in and start adding all our elements in here. So I'm going to click on this plus button, scroll all the way down, and this is where we need product search. Drag and drop it. Oops, it needs to be inside here like that. All right, great. So if we come over here to advanced, I'm sure there's a few ways we can customize this. Let's have a look. So let's call this product search. Okay, now the next one, we're going to click here on this plus button, scroll all the way down, and filter by price is what we need. I'm going to drag and drop it in here. I'm going to hit apply. Okay, so it's not showing yet. And then finally, we're going to have recently viewed product list. Drag and drop it. Okay, now let's publish. And we're going to view the changes. So finally, on this container here, we just need to add a title to this. So I'm just going to drag my text module. And then we're just going to drag and drop it above like that. And we are just going to say all products. Like that. Change the color. So I'm going to go with a very dark gray or even black. And I also need a line there, like a divider. So let's go ahead and do that. Here it is. Drag and drop it just below, like that. Excellent. So now I have a list of all my products. And let's hit save. Right, so the next step now is to head over to our settings here so we can see the wish list icon on our menu. So I'm going to come over here. So we have quite a few icons to work with. So here it's saying decide where you want to display your My Wishlist item. I want it to the main menu. And on the basic settings here, the position of the icon on the shop page, I'm going to say product image overlay. In fact, you know what? Let's add it next to the add to cart button. Okay. So I think that's pretty much all I need to do. I'll leave the heart as it is. And then I'm going to hit save changes. All right, so the next part is the card pops. Okay, let's head over here. We're going to come to our settings. So here we have color schemes. So if you have a specific color palette you want to work with, you can come over here and change your colors, and the preview will be right here on the bottom. But I'm not going to mess around with that. We don't want to waste too much time, so we're going to leave that as it is. So the final thing I want to do is to just make sure that everything looks great on all pages. So let's first of all cover WooCommerce, because there's quite a few settings that we need to make sure are in place. So what we need to do is to come over here to WooCommerce. So just to give you an overview of how WooCommerce works. So if you click on WooCommerce here, you are going to get pretty much an overview. And these are the items I haven't set up yet. So when you click on WooCommerce, it's going to ask you to go through this whole process of making sure you set everything up. But if you want to do the easy way, just come over here to settings. And in fact, I prefer doing it that way. So here is where you need to add your store address. So just go in and enter your address. So there we go. I've just entered my address there. So selling locations, you can choose to sell to all countries, but if you want to be specific, you can set here to specific countries. So let's say I just want to sell to the United Kingdom. I can just set my shop like that. You can also set your locations here, the default customer location. You can also go in here and use geolocate, but I normally leave it as it is. Now, if you're going to be enabling taxes, you can come over here and make sure it's enabled so that when someone is checking out, they can see, the tax information. Over here on the currency, now since I'm in the UK, so this has to be pound sterling. There we go. I can set it like that. Currency on the left, that's fine. I can hit save changes. So you want to make sure you go through each and every tab here. I'm just going to cover the most important one. So here on the products, our shop page is set to shop. That's fine. And normally I don't touch anything here. It's pretty much okay. And over here on the tax, this is where you can say prices entered with tax. If you say yes, you now have to go into the recommended settings. But in my case, I don't use tax. Now over here on the shipping, oops, let me just save changes first. Now over here on the shipping, this is where you set up your zones and how much it is going to be, whether it's going to be per weight or so on. This is where you need to come. Now this tab here is the most important. You want to make sure that you sign up with Stripe and PayPal. So this is where you come in and enter the information. So you can activate cash on delivery here if you want to. And then this is where you can set up your PayPal payment system. So to do that, let me just show you quickly. You want to make sure you come over here to plugins and then click on add new. So first of all, we're going to search for PayPal. Okay, so this is the one. I'm going to click install now and then activate. Now, while we're here, we might as well add our Stripe. Now, Stripe is for taking credit cards and debit cards, so it is a very good plugin. So let's search for Stripe. So the one we need is this one here, Stripe WooCommerce. Click install and then click on activate. Okay, great. So now that I've activated those two, I can come back over here to WooCommerce, and then you want to go to settings. Okay, so you're going to notice now that we have this payment tab, and we are going to have those extra settings. Do you see now the list has just gone crazy? So what you want to do now is to accept PayPal by clicking that. So the process now is you want to click here on securely accept all major credit cards and so on. Activate PayPal. Now this is going to go to PayPal, but in your case, of course, this is going to redirect to your account, and just make sure you follow through and just enter all your information there. So this is where you'd enter your email address and then your country or region to complete the setup. So back over here, let's go to Stripe. So Stripe is similar. You come over here to Stripe and then you activate it. So again, you can create or connect an account. So if you haven't created an account, you can create it here and then connect it. The process is very, very straightforward to connect it. Now, once it's connected, when customers come to your website, they click on the product, add to cart, it's going to be all seamless. Once they purchase, the money goes into your account and they get an invoice and so on. But I'm moving too fast because we need to come over here to account and privacy, because this is also very important. So here, you want to make sure that allow customers to create an account during checkout is checked, because of course you want to make sure that that process is easy. And you also want to enable remove personal data from orders on request. This is also very important, and also this one here. Okay, so now that we have all this information in, we can now take a look here at emails. So in fact, let me just cancel and save first. So on the emails here, WooCommerce has done a fantastic job of setting up all the emails for you. So here for new order, this is going to be a pre-designed email. In fact, if I click on manage, you'll be able to see what this is about. So this is the email the message that you get. Congratulations on the sale. And it gives you the new order, the order number, the subject as well, and the recipient. Okay. So if I go back, all these are pre-designed emails. And I've never had to go in and change any of these, but if you do want to go in and change them, it's pretty much up to you. Okay, so for the integration here, this is, let's say you want to use MaxMind, you can just go in and add your API key in here, and this works. And then on the advanced tab, this is where you can go in and take a look at webhooks and all of that. But this is a topic for another day. With this setup and this information, this is good enough for you to run your online store. Now we have one more page that we need to do, which is the contact page. So remember when we earlier on when we entered our plugins, we have a plugin that we need to add here called Fluent Forms. So let's search for it. Oh, we need to add new and then search for Fluent Forms. So this form plugin just makes the whole process of adding forms on your website very, very, very easy. That's why I highly recommend it. Click on activate. Okay. So now that it's activated, you're going to notice that it's going to be added. So now that Fluent Forms has been activated, you're going to see an entry here called Fluent Forms. If you click here on Forms, it's going to show you the list of all the forms on your website. So thankfully, we have a demo form here, which we can use right away. And to use it, all you have to do is to click here on this shortcode, click that to copy. And if you want to have a quick look at it, you can just click here on preview. So it's a simple form which you can use right away. So here it has the first name, last name, email address, subject, and the message. Okay, great. So what we're going to do now is we are going to add this form on our website. So we're going to come back over here to pages, click on all pages, because remember, we created a contact page, which is right here. We're going to edit with Elementor. We're going to click on this plus button, and we're going to add our structure here. And our structure is going to be very, very simple. We are going to add Fluent Forms. So let's search for Fluent. And here it is. Drag and drop it. Now we're also going to add an image here. So let's drag and drop our image just below that. We're going to click in here. And let's use this image here for our contact page, like a support kind of image. Now back over here, let's add our direction. And we also need to come over here and add our padding, which is going to be 8%. Oops, so we need to come over here, set this to percent, break the chain, and make sure 8 is at the top and bottom. Okay, great. Finally, let's add a bit of a color here to the background by coming over here. And we're going to add a very slight gray, like that. Now, while I'm here, you can see it says contact. We don't want that, so we're going to come over here and hide the title. Great. Finally, we're going to come into our form here, and we are now going to select our form, and we need the contact form demo. Excellent. So finally, we just need to just rearrange this a little bit and stylize this a bit as well. So first of all, we're going to come over here to advanced. We're going to adjust the size to about, okay, we'll go with 46. Now let's add a bit of padding. We're going to set this to percentage. We're going to go with about 3 or maybe even 4. Okay. Now it's time to add the background color. We're going to come over here to style. And then we are going to look for background. Maybe it's here. Sure enough, here's our background. Let's add our background color. All right, so here we can decide whether we're going to go with the dark form or the light form. So let's go with light. How about that? But of course, if you want to go crazy and go dark, I mean, that works too. In fact, let's do that. We're going to go with that. And then we're going to come over here and customize the text. So we're going to go to style. So here we are. We've got the labels. The only thing is we have to go in now and manually add all these. So our font here is going to be Poppins. There we go. And then our input and text area, border radius, we're going to set this to 0. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Then we're just going to change the typography here to Poppins. Excellent. So our form now has been sorted. We're going to click here on this plus button and add a title. Oh yeah, so we can't do that. Anyway, I think we'll leave our contact form as it is. But if we need to add more information, we can always go in and add more. Okay, I think the last information I need to add is the phone number. So let's just go in and add it here. So I'm just going to say phone plus, and then I'm just going to highlight the phone itself and make it bold. Right, so our design is complete. I'm going to publish this now, and it's time now to test our website and see if it's working. So I'm going to hit save, and let's do a quick preview. All right, so this is our contact page. So let's start off with our home page here. So this is what we designed. This is our home page. Okay, so let's say we want to add this to cart. So I can just click on, or in fact, before we add to cart, I can add to wish list. And then I can also add to cart. So you can see here, we have this pop-up, which is fantastic because I can now interact with this. So let's say I want to remove the shoes. I can just do that. And now the shoe is gone. And this is all I have. If I want 2 of these, I can just click on this plus button. And if you set up some discount codes, you can enter the discount code here, click apply, and this is going to update. So let's say we continue on shopping and I click on this product. Now take a look at the product page itself. This is what it looks like. Pretty cool. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here. And again, if I add this to cart, notice what happens. This pops out again. And now I have all my products here on the side. And if I'm now ready to go to checkout, I can just click here on checkout now. And now I'm on my checkout page where I have to enter my name, last name, and all that information. And this also gives us our product summary. So you can see this is our total, and then we can place our order, which is now going to go to either PayPal or Stripe. All right, guys. That is how you set up an online store website step by step. If you have any questions, please ask me in the comments box, and I'll be very happy to help you out if you run into any problems. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.